directly. It's nice, but it's a bit slow at the moment. So let's add a bit of speed. As you can probably not see, actually, the animation speed in animation frames per second. And this cannot be greater than the game frame rate. And the game frame rate within Construct 2 is actually capped to 60 FPS. So you can't go further away than 60 FPS. Let's try 30 to see in preview, or this is nicer, but it's going a bit quick. So let's put it at 12. I guess this should go. This should be fitting. Yeah, it feels more natural. So I have an idle animation and a run animation. So let's start and use it. I'm coming back to my layout, and I will put several platforms. So I'm making new instances of the object type ground. The difference between an instance and an object type is that instances are instances from an object type, actually. The object type can have common properties, but each new instance will have its own properties. So I can resize an instance. It has the very same behavior as the original instance, but I can modify its properties. I can set it so that it's invisible by default. I can modify pretty much everything I want with it. And for example, the position property allows me to put those instances at several places. And so I'm kind of making a level this way. It's pretty basic. So as we have seen earlier, if I go and just preview my project as it is, I can move away. My character is not animating, and at the moment I'm going out of screen and I can't really control it. So as we were seeing in the previous example, I will add the scroll to behavior, which will allow me to follow directly the character. And I would want to add an event, and I would want when my character, and here comes the interesting and fun part. We go into the event sheet, we're going to do some code. So you have common properties, you have common conditions actually to the objects. So for example, angle, the sprite as the animations category. I can zoom this dialog. The appearance, like opacity, is it visible or not visible, collision handling, and some variables, instance variables, and some stuff like that. And what I will be wanting to check out is whether my object is moving or not. And I can do it thanks to the behavior platform, which has a condition named is moving. So this condition there, this event, will activate whenever my character and whenever the behavior platform from my character object is actually moving. And what I want to do is to set the animation to run, because if it is moving, then I'm considering that it has to be running. And so if I preview this just right now, let's go back. As it is falling, it is considered to be moving. So there is a little issue there. And also, it's not moving anymore, but still the running animation is going on. So what we can do is add more conditions to make sure that the animation run will be set if only the correct conditions are met. So for example, I want my character to be on floor. That is to say that when it is actually falling, it's not on floor, so it shouldn't set, it shouldn't run. So let's try this one. Previewing. Alright, so we fail, the animation hasn't changed. I'm moving, it has changed. So it's a step in the correct, in the good direction. I will also want that once the platform is not moving and the object is on the floor, though, I will want to get back to the idle animation. And this way, now, whenever I'm releasing the key, the animation is changing. One more thing I want it to flip, obviously, because when I'm going left and that my character is running to the right, it's not very good looking. So to do so, I had a new object. It's a keyboard, and I would actually want to add an event, and whenever a key down, whenever the right arrow key is down, I will want my character to not be mirrored, so as it stands actually, and when I'm pressing the left arrow, I actually want the character to be mirrored. And so now, previewing again, my character is moving. Now I can do with a bit more animation though, because I'm still running when I'm jumping. But at least my character is acting pretty okay. So let's add a bit more animations. We'll add an animation jump and add an animation fall. And it's still from the sprite strip. So there I'm doing with a sprite strip that I've taken from an open source website. And so it was not made specifically for this game. So you can see that I have each time to make the tedious tasks of setting the number of cells and the number of horizontal and vertical cells, etc. You can actually directly pick one object and one sprite specifically, and just open up this sprite, for example. Yeah, here it is. My friend Zero now is a cat, and it's only a single picture that I've taken from there. But for this presentation, I'm dealing with what I have, which is this nice sprite sheet that is doing the job. So yeah, for my jumping animation, I want this image, and for my fall animation, actually, I've noticed that there was another one that was pretty cool. And if I remember correctly, it is... where is it? I may have already deleted it, actually. Yeah. So let's go back. Let's finish. I just remove all my sprites. Import frames again. Sorry about that. And yeah, it's my frame number 8. Okay, so yeah, this is the frame I want. This one was nice. So here I have it, a single image to jump, a single image to fall. And so now I can go back into my event sheet, and actually it's pretty much like this event right there, except that it's not when it's moving, but it's when it's jumping, and it's not on the floor, we don't mind. and I name it, set it to jump. And on the opposite, when it's falling, I want my animation fall to be playing. And if I preview this, now I have a set of moves that feel a bit more natural. Here it goes. So it's very basic working, and also you can see at the moment I've talked quickly about the collision handling. It's done through a collision polygon in Construct. And when excuse me, when dealing with the character collision, and specifically for platform behavior objects, we actually tend to recommend to clone and have an object separate for the animation. So I will name it character animation, and have an object that is going to deal with the collision itself. So actually I'm going to delete the animations from my character objects and just have one which is going to be a field square. Setting up. It's very basic, and I will have character animation. But this one, I actually don't want behaviors to it except the pin behavior. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm still controlling the character, which is the green box, but I will pin my animation character over it, so that I have two separate objects, but that will still move along as one. So to do that, I add an event, and I want it to happen on start of my layout. And on start of my layout, I want to set the position of my object character anim on character. And I also want my character anim object to be pinned to my character objects. Alright, but now I am having an issue. My character object hasn't animations anymore. The conditions are still okay, but the animation are actually within the character anim object. So for that, I will select, holding down the control key, I'm selecting several actions. And actually all the actions, I will right click and replace objects. And in that case, because the objects are pretty similar, it's having the same actions, I can replace with either the ground object, which doesn't make sense there, or with the character anim object, which does. And so in a single click, I've modified everything, and if I make a preview, I do have my animation that is working, but actually my collision are handled and all my inputs are handled by on the green box. And ultimately, the green box is going to be set to be invisible so that only my character is showing. So maybe you're not seeing it, but there is a few pixels. The character animation seems to be a few pixels on top of the ground. It's not very nice. So instead of setting the position to an object, I'm going to manually set the position. I can still refer to the character.x position. So as you can see, there is an auto-completion that is proposed by Construct, so you can do everything with the mouth. You can also add the object with expressions dialog, which allows you to check out which are the objects that you have in your project, and that you can go and see the different properties and expressions. Expressions are kind of properties that you can use and deal with at runtime and within the event sheet itself. Some of them are tied to some properties, some others are not. For example,